Hi, good evening, or good day, whenever you're watching this. I sounded Australian then.
You did a little.
Good day.
Yeah, but you're asking a question. Yeah, okay.
Anyway, hi. We talk a lot about energies, and the last, quite a few of our talks are about external energies and the skies and, just connecting to that. But our journey to that was then, well, how, why? And a thing that's really important for us to understand is the body, the human body. And so the first thing that I think is quite important to say is about the heart.
Yeah.
For me, it's a fascinating organ. Anyway, obviously it pumps blood, keeps us alive. But there's some interesting things around the heart that can go deeper. So my journey through the research of understanding this took me back to the 1600s, actually. And this philosopher called Degas, he was about 53 when he died, around in the 1600s. And he had this theory that the mind controlled consciousness and self-awareness, and the brain controlled intelligence. So they were his beliefs. Fast track to 1995, and a book came out from De Damasio, and it was called The Descartes Error. And this book really delved into sort of the emotion, the reasons of the human brain. And say their name right, Damasio, names are not my forte at all, basically claimed that the human mind is not separate to the brain.
Yeah.
So completely, stamped on what Degas had founded in the 1600s. Let's fast track again to the 21st century, 2000s, and you've now got this scientific advance towards a connection called heart-brain connection. So we're not just talking about the mind and the brain now. There's this organ called the heart that's into this connection. And through my research, I was absolutely drawn to this neuroscientist and psychologist called Dr. Richardson, Richard Davidson. And names.
Got me confused then.
I know. Dr. Richard Davidson. And basically in the 1970s, he was a graduate from Harvard University, but he had this deep sort of knowing, if you like, that it wasn't just about the medical science that he had been taught. He respected his professors, but it was more of a wider circle that he was more fascinated with. And it was these scientists that had this drive towards this meditative mindfulness strand of science. And so this doctor went to India and did the whole retreat thing and became what he called as a closet meditator.
Oh, it's all very hush-hush. You didn't talk about it, did you? Yes.
And he didn't, because basically his colleagues said, look, if you go down this route of science, you're not going to get very far, or you're not going to be respected as a scientist. Didn't put him off, and he was fascinated by this heart-brain connection. But one day in 1992, he had this realization, and it was, he just chatting to someone, he said, and they were having a conversation about if you have the tools to study and clinically understand anxiety, depression, fear, then why can't you use those tools and that clinical diagnostic to study compassion and empathy? And it was that moment that I heard him say that I still get chills now. I was like, yeah, why? Compassion, love, empathy. Surely we've got tools to be able to know what they are, where they come from. So moving on from that, then I went into more research, and this absolutely complements what you've restudied over the years as well. And there's two things. So, that these phrases, you wear your heart on your sleeve, or speak from the heart. Well, they really are quite key expressions. So there's this one mathematician, Annie Marquardt, and she has written a couple of books, but it's The Power of the Soul. And through her work and many others, and we'll come on to a couple of others that you're very familiar with, basically they've discovered that the heart can feel and think and decide by itself. Basically because it's got a whole network of neurons, about 40,000 plus neurons, and these neurotransmitters that have very specific functions. And Annie Marquire, through her work, and I'll read these quotes because I'm quoting, basically she said, the heart is a purely sensing organ that can make decisions for itself based on certain stimuli. And neurologists, cardiologists explain that the heart can act independently from the brain, but what's more, it can even learn through experiences. So again, I just have the connection with those words. It just makes me tingle. I'm like, this is what humans are all about. It's the heart. The heart is on top.
Yeah.
And then again, something that you're very, very familiar
Well,
with.
it should be on top.
Yeah.
Whether it is or not is possibly something else.
Yeah, and I remember when you were retraining, you were coming back from, just enthusiasm and oozing this heart math.
That goes back a bit. Yeah,
2012.
Yeah.
And Doc Childra, who was the foundation of heart math. So again, doing my own research, and I'll quote it again, straight from his website. So of all the cells in the heart, 67% are nerve cells. And it's the only organ that can send information autonomously to the brain based on the organic stimuli that it receives. Now, the heart is characterized by a powerful electromagnetic communication system. And he goes on to describe, in fact, it's 5,000 more times powerful than the brain.
Yeah, and we know the brain as being an electric. The idea of electricity in the brain is not uncommon because of the neurons and things like that.
Yeah.
But 5,000 times stronger.
Yeah. And exactly like what you've just said, the electromagnetic field varies with emotion. So the quality of one's emotion can alter or regulate the electromagnetic field generated by the heart.
Yeah.
And now, again, this just sends tingles, and because we should be living by our heart, right? It's where we start from.
Yeah. As part of everything, but definitely, it's the heart needs to feature very prominently. Definitely.
It's about you say this word embodiment quite a lot.
Yeah, I think when we think of living by your heart, and when we talk in those sort of terms, often it's a bit floaty and a bit fluffy, and it's not. It's actually complete embodiment. If we think of the embryology, if we think of how we are organised, from within the womb, even we go through various cells dividing, and then maybe those cells become more of a plate, and then those plates fold and fold again. And one of these parts of our embryology, our development in the womb, is the heart is formed up here. It's formed up above the head, and there's this part where it starts as we start to bend over, we start to fold over. It comes down and it touches what would be, I suppose, around where the spine is, an idea of a midline, and the heart folds over. And as it comes into this midline, our hands actually come round, our feet are come round. So it's almost like the whole body. The head comes down, so it comes over the head and it comes down. So the whole body comes around the heart. And it's this point where the heart, or the idea of the heart at that time, touches this midline, is where we would talk within craniosacral terms, or we would talk about that becoming the embodiment, where soul or spirit becomes embodied. So it becomes, rather than part of this everything, it becomes part of the physical. So it's a very, very strong sensation, very strong part of our model of a human being, rather than a fluffy, weak, nice part of it. It's a great strength within it.
Well, it makes the idea of love become a force rather than a feeling.
Absolutely, yeah. Love being a force rather than an emotion as such. Yeah.
And I would say that really is something that we do understand within the work that we do with Unique Life Design, is really connecting back to that.
Yeah, everybody who comes through, I suppose, into that journey with Unique Life Design with us, we explore the sensations, so the actual experience of heart-filled, what that means, how that feels, not just from a theoretical point of view, but actually from an experiential point of view. So it's your experience, a sensation or a felt sense point of view, and how that then really ties into these wonderful areas of science, relational areas, social engagement areas, 3 nervous systems, all these things that really we should know. Everybody should have this information, and hopefully will more and more do. But yeah, it all starts with that heart connection and the sensation, the feeling, the felt sense of heart.
Yeah. And we always build on from these chats, and I think where this goes is it's the heart-brain connection, so the next chat will be the brain, and then we link it to intuition and instinct, because they are very much very different and driven by different forces and energies.
Yeah, we'll layer that up,
So really, just to sort of bring all of this together, a lovely quote that, again, from HeartMath and Doc Childra, it says, states on the website, "Dare connect to your heart. You will not only be lifting yourself and those you love and care about, but also the world in which you live."
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great quote.
That's it.
Thank you.